Tesla customers have grown weary of the controversy surrounding the company and its CEO.
Tesla coming off a 27% stock drop in February.
It's a completely different picture from the one that inspired thousands, if not millions, for years.
Thank you. That's a lot, yeah.
To his admirers, Elon Musk had grand ambitions and was elegantly solving some of the planet's biggest problems. A real-life Tony Stark.
For a lot of people, Tesla was not just an investment or a car, it was an ideology and it was a movement.
It really felt like we're changing the world.
But in recent months, many have offloaded stock, sold their cars, and started shopping for rival brands, baffled by Musk's public behavior and his choices.
He went from being the somebody that you looked up to as one of the greatest entrepreneurs of our time to somebody that was off his rocker.
Here's why many have turned away from the company they once believed so deeply in, and what Tesla or Musk might need to do to win them back. Numbers paint a discouraging picture. Deliveries fell 13% in the first quarter of 2025. Automotive revenue, 20%. Profits plummeted by 71%. Used Tesla values are falling faster than any other brand as a record number of owners are trading in the cars. Shares have fallen by roughly 30% in 2025. Some owners have found their vehicles to be worthless or worse.
I'm upside down in these vehicles. We're getting a fraction of what is paid, and things like FSD that we paid full price for and paid interest on our loan have no value in terms of exchange.
FSD is a driver assistance system. Many owners prepaid for the service, which is being rolled out over time, but it has been subject to delays and criticized for failing to live up to expectations. But FSD is just one of the many problems Tesla faces. Brand Finance studies and ranks global brands by value based on expected revenues. Tesla reached its highest point in 2023, breaking the top 10. But then it fell in the 2024 report and further down again this year. The survey was done before President Donald Trump took office.
The reason it's dropped is twofold. First of all, the competition is catching up in terms of quality, innovation, pricing. But on top of that, we've also had the slightly odd behavior of the CEO, which has alienated a lot of customers.
It is apparent to many former fans. Their reasons vary, but they have a lot in common. Problems with service and product quality, frustration with top management, and yes, Musk's rhetoric, social media posts, and work with US President Donald Trump.
Nobody voted for Elon Musk.
Tesla's first quarter results for 2025 were a disaster. A huge number of center-left and left to far-left leaning consumers will not consider buying Teslas anymore.
A CNBC survey found that half of Americans have a negative view of Tesla and Elon Musk. Only 27% have a positive. Musk's net approval among Democrats is negative 82 and plus 56 among Republicans. But EVs are most popular among Democrats.
If you just look at the numbers in places like Scandinavia and Germany and Britain, people are turning off from Tesla in droves. They do not like his behavior and they do not like his right-wing stance.
I can't walk past the TV without seeing a Tesla on fire. And like, what's going on? Like, this is psycho. Stop being psycho.
Tesla is what made him the world's richest person on paper and has given him a lot of his clout. And we're seeing the chickens come home to roost, in a sense, at Tesla.
I've owned lots of great cars, but the Model S was way ahead of its time. This was not only a great electric car, the best electric car, it was just a great car. And that was the big thing that changed. You know, you didn't have any sacrifices. You had beautiful styling, you had speed, you had quiet, you had the efficiency.
Tesla was miles ahead of the competition for years. He was a visionary who bet the farm on EV, and everyone said he was nuts and he wasn't making money. But, you know, he's a swashbuckling entrepreneur.
After all, Musk wasn't just running Tesla. He was launching rockets into space. devising hyperloops and plans to bore tunnels under Los Angeles, doing things no one else could seem to do. He was going to change the world.
The hottest stock in the world right now has got to be Tesla. Shares soaring after earnings.
Over time, Musk became more vocal about the threat of climate change and more critical of fossil fuels and the industry that sells them.
The issues we're facing are very serious. With climate change, it's really important that we take action.
Being able to change the EV industry and being a part of something revolutionary seemed like a no-brainer.
That Musk often promised more than he delivered, that Tesla delayed and changed plans and lost money quarter after quarter, didn't faze fans.
He was consistently pushing very, very high numbers and missing them, but he was accomplishing more than anybody else had at that time.
Jenkins, like some other owners, was also an investor, with at one point over $500,000 in Tesla shares. So was Brianna Jane. She and her husband have owned a total of 8 vehicles, at least one of every model except the Roadster.
We like the products. They're unique, they're different. It seemed like that was a really good investment.
So they became shareholders.
It was 100% of our portfolio. And so, yes, we put everything we had into Tesla at the time.
Though Tesla's stock was often volatile, it was still a remarkable performer. Shares in its IPO were priced at $17. As of May 1st, they were trading at roughly $284. The all-time high was $488, shortly after Trump won his second term.
Many of the early fans and proponents of Tesla were very focused on its mission, but they missed these operational problems at Tesla that were antithetical to that goal.
But Musk's public behavior shifted over time.
Elon Musk used to speak pretty clearly about environmental science, climate change. In recent years, it's been this slow mission drift for him and for Tesla.
He started attacking people who didn't like something that he was doing, never met a deadline that he promised. You'd listen to the calls and stuff, and it was just like, what is this guy saying?
Some of his statements related to his businesses, and some not, have drawn controversy, defamation lawsuits, and investigations and charges from government agencies such as the Securities and Exchange Commission. This started to take its toll on some once diehard devotees.
Started to see that every other sentence out of Elon's mouth was either a lie or an exaggeration.
Tesla itself has attracted controversy over its technology and product quality. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has opened multiple investigations of crashes involving Tesla's driver assistance software. Among other things, Musk settled fraud charges made by the Securities and Exchange Commission in 2018 over a tweet about a failed plan to take Tesla private. That tweet was one of the first red flags for Jane.
I ran out of my office and I was banging on my husband's door. And I said, hey, I need you to come out for a second. And he's like, what? I go, sell it now.
I saw tweeting going up quite a lot, started having problems with SEC, started being an expert on global politics, and starting getting into a lot of things that were outside of those two big themes, interplanetary species and let's green up the world.
Elon Musk reportedly is at least a step closer to securing his takeover of Twitter. The Wall Street Journal reporting that the deal is worth $44 billion now.
He was dividing his focus even more. It wasn't just SpaceX and Tesla and some other deep tech things. Now there's this, acquisition, a leveraged buyout of Twitter, and he's dumping Tesla shares to do it. How can the center hold here?
Both NHTSA and the SEC declined to comment. Tesla did not respond to a request from CNBC. Despite their doubts, Jane and her husband remain shareholders, but a trip to the company's We Robot event proved decisive.
We decided, okay, we're going to go there. It'll be a neat experience. We'll be able to see things firsthand and, figure out what's going on because stock had not been performing particularly well.
But she was denied entry at the event.
They said, well, it's one ticket per household, and we gave them to the head of household. And I said, well, who's the head of household? And then they said, look, this came straight from Milan. This is how it is. You've got like 150 men per one female in the crowd. And I told my husband that night afterwards, I said, not just because I'm bitter or whatever, I said, I think the stock's going to go down big time.
Musk had long been involved in politics. He had briefly served as a White House advisor during Donald Trump's first term. But his recent push to get more deeply involved in politics in the United States and abroad has been a final straw for many. Musk donated more than $250 million to various Republican causes leading up to the 2024 election. His role as an advisor to Donald Trump has led to protests around the country. Trump created the Department of Government Efficiency via executive order and put Musk in charge of it.
Some shareholders have a really big problem with it. He didn't appoint someone else to run the shop while he was out doing Doge stuff.
I didn't buy a car to magnify a political party. And I feel that's very unfair to people who own Tesla stock, and particularly unfair to people who bought the car and cannot get out of it. Not everybody can sell their cars at a loss.
I just had a friend who brought his car to the shop and it was like spray painted with swastika.
Chris Lee is a YouTuber and has owned 4 Teslas. He has made several videos about his ownership experience, and he interviewed protesters and owners in the wake of the controversy.
I always get comments also, and people email me, hey, Chris, I'm about to go on a road trip to Oregon and across this United States. Is it safe to drive my Tesla? I'm scared I'm going to get vandalized. So unfortunately, that's something that we're dealing with right now, and people are really upset with Tesla. But once it passes, I think we'll just all go back to normal.
Musk is gaining approval in some quarters, such as among Republicans, but they're a lot less likely to buy EVs, so it hasn't offset the losses. Winning back customers and investors isn't easy, and it's not just Musk's politics that have driven some buyers to other brands.
I'm supposed to trust Elon Musk in autonomous vehicle when they still can't even get the sensors right on the windshield wipers? I mean, like, it's really bad. The navigation has gotten worse. It's constantly sending me and my wife to the wrong places.
We were promised a service center in our area quite some time ago. It hasn't come. And mobile service is not what it used to be. I had a seatbelt fixed on one of my vehicles only to have my kids get in the car and find out that they fixed a seatbelt that wasn't broken.
Tesla's future is far from secure. There's much more competition, and Tesla has been making some risky bets on autonomous vehicles and robots.
They were once seen as pioneering, and now they're seen as a bit of a laggard in the autonomous vehicle space. People in robotics think, if they do the right thing with all the data and video they're amassing, they have a real shot, but it's just past due and they're ceding ground at this point.
Musk said on the Q1 2025 company earnings call that he planned to reduce his time in the Trump White House.
You're invited to stay as long as you want. At some point, I guess he wants to get back home to his car.
That means spending 2 days a week on his government work. Is that enough to run a public company that's at this inflection point where they're facing competition from China, a decline in the brand's reputation?
But if Musk's image is tarnished, returning to Tesla might not help at all.
I think most public companies probably would not have tolerated what he has been doing for the last 6 months, but it isn't a normal company. He is in control. And so really, someone ought to be reasoning with him to say, look, we do actually think you're a distraction.
Elon could turn it around if he chose to. But first of all, it's got to be, do we even have a problem? Do we even care? And is this a path we want to go down?
For me, I would like to see a return to Tesla fundamentals, which was supposed to be about sustainable energy. I think there's a lot of great people at Tesla who have a voice that we should hear more from.